Let's stop right there. You hate the fact that there are a group of Muslims, not a group of Muslims as an organization, but they are Muslims in every corner of the world. When they see something haram, they address it. They call it out as being haram. And in today's time, these people are mockingly called the Haram Police. That is a form of mockery of Islam. That you hate the fact that a Muslim is calling you out on something that you are doing that is actually haram. You may, by default of hating the fact that this person is addressing you about your haram, you may have nullified your shahada and you don't even realize it. Do you guys understand this? And this is more importantly for our youth. Because most of the Muslims that are older, more seasoned Muslims, we might, be offended the way that you approach, but, we appreciate the gesture. Jazakallah khair. That's mostly what you will get from a lot of the older brothers and sisters. But for many of our youth, they hate the fact that they're being corrected on something. Why can't you just worry about yourself? Why you have to focus on me? That's between me and Allah. Not when you do it in public. It's not between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anymore. If you go on social media and you expose your haram in front of the entire world, it's no longer between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If I choose to extend you grace and DM you or pull you to the side and address you to the side, that's grace that I'm extending to you. I don't have to do that. I could expose you and deal with you in public just as you committed the sin in public. As a matter of fact, it probably should be corrected in public. Why? Why? So that people know that it is a mistake. It's wrong to do that. Because if I address you privately, you might accept the advice and say, well, thank you for correcting me. But what does that do for the people who you did the mistake in front of? You're not going to be honorable and go back in front of the whole entire, open up social media and go back in front of your followers and say, hey guys, I was wrong the other day when I said XYZ, or when I posted this, or when I said that. You're not going to do that because it's too embarrassing. It requires a little bit too much sincerity, which most people lack anyway. Because if you're sincere and you do something wrong or haram in front of the world and Muslims are watching, when you're sincere, even if you're corrected, you want to go back in front of those same people and correct that. Because God forbid somebody saw or heard me do something and think that it's okay to do that. And then I have to bear the consequences of people following me in that sin. The Prophet ﷺ, من سن في الإسلام سنة سيئة فله وزرها ووزر من عمل بها ولا ينقص من أوزارهم شيئا. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever starts a bad practice, a bad habit, a bad practice in my deen, in the religion of Islam, then he gets the sin for starting it and the sin of everybody who follows him in it, without the sin being decreased from anyone else. Jazakallah khair. No, it's fine. Alhamdulillah. You guys follow me? Very dangerous. I don't want to make a mistake in public and someone hears that and then adopts that mistake as their own, and I have to live with that. The Prophet ﷺ said the first murder that took place on earth, when Habil killed Qabil, right? Don't you know that every murder that takes place on this earth, he has to bear the sin of that, because he was the first one to start the sunnah of murder. Think about it. How many people were killed in Vietnam? How many people did Hiroshima? How many people were killed? World War I, World War II, in the Congo, Rwanda. How many people were murdered and killed and slaughtered? And every single murder that takes place on this earth, he has to carry the sin of that, because he was the one who started the sunnah of murder. La ilaha illallah. You don't want that. So if someone corrects you, thank the person for correcting you. Not hate the person or label them the Haram Police because they corrected you. Because even if you say, oh, here come the Haram Police, that doesn't make the thing that I'm correcting you about any less wrong. You're still wrong, even if I am the haram police. You guys follow me? Even when you say, oh, here come the haram police, does that mean that what I'm correcting you about is somehow wrong now because you made mockery of me, because you called me the haram police? Does that make the thing that I'm correcting you about any less wrong? It's still wrong. You're still wrong. So, for example, hating someone who enjoins what is good and forbids what is evil, as the Quran and the Sunnah instructs, or hating the fact that zina, fornication and adultery is forbidden. Why can't we just sleep with people? Why is this haram? So many rules in Islam, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. Or hating the fact that zina is haram. Or someone who hates the fact that he has to grow his beard. Even if they act upon it, they have disbelieved and is no longer considered a Muslim. Yeah, they nullified their shahada. Aversion of this magnitude stems from a hatred that is in the heart. Like the one who hates the fact that interest, that riba is forbidden, or that music is haram. It seems like everything that we like to do is haram, because most of the things that we like to do is surrounded by the hellfire. The Prophet ﷺ said the hellfire is surrounded by the things that we covet, the things that we enjoy, while paradise is surrounded by al-makarih, the things that are difficult, the things that are challenging. What doesn't challenge you is not going to change you. If you want change in your life, then you have to be confronted with things that are going to challenge you to be better and to do better. If you just give in to the desire, how in the world do you arrive at the best version of yourself? So aversion of this magnitude stems from a hatred in the heart. This individual has nullified his shahada and exited the fold of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, but those who disbelieve, for them is destruction and Allah will make their deeds in vain. That is because, pay attention to the ayah. This is what is called istinbat. Istinbat is where you make a claim and then you go into the Quran and you find the ayah that supports the claim. You deduce from the Quran the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is our law, that supports the claim that you made. I said that something was haram. Not just me, but scholars who came before me. I didn't make this up. Scholars who came before me. I just took what Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, and many other scholars have said, and I just took the language and made it easily digestible for people who come from the environments that we come from. That's all I did. I didn't add anything. I didn't take anything away. I just made the language more fluid, more understandable, more digestible for us. Usually when you read this type of stuff in books, it's like you get it because it's in the English language, but you don't really get it because you don't really understand. It requires depth of knowledge, depth of understanding, which most of us lack. We don't have that. So we need to read it in a language with examples that are relevant to where we come from and to our environment.